Now it's working. Okay, I don't know what I did.
I'll let you go.
Okay, yeah, I'll double check that with Tony, but I think.
You're there's not. That's what I kind of thought.
Yeah.
I guess what we saved.
Yeah, and I'll double check with him too, but
Okay, great. We are live.
I only want to
Have a quorum.
say,
Then they have a couple of city. Small towns. Yeah, I mean, I don't like netting it.
I think that's a little generic.
Yeah, the residents start saying.
Are we ready?
We are ready. We have a quorum.
Okay, then, about the order. We have, myself here from Albany. I think Tom is on Zoom. And, from Cahoes, we got Shane, we got Gary, Rensselaer, we got Bill. Yep. Troy, we got Chris. No Andrew today.
Let's go.
Water Fleet,
Who's here?
Green Island, Maggie. And we got Gary, he's there for Tuco.
that's right.
We got, nobody from Albany County, unless you let them on the call. And we got Mark and Martin and Tom. And we got Mike Miller also from the joint venture team
Yes.
on Zoom. So that's, it would not. Reading and acceptance of the minutes. I did have some things in regard to the
Okay.
minutes. So on the second page, I think in that first paragraph, about half of it, I think, is not exactly correct. So we're not going long-term with Albany's stuff at the moment. It's still being delayed because EFC is delaying that. But it is going long-term, but definitely not in March.
Okay.
And Troy, I don't know what the time frame is, and Troy's going long-term on. I know the EFC wanted to do that.
They won't do it, Mark. They want to do it by now.
They wanted to do that first, but because I think that was it hit the 7-year mark on for that. And then I think that sentence about development costs for disbursement, I think it was really just a matter of, I think neither Albany nor Troy was looking for those pre-consent order costs. We had never really included that. EFC had made that available, and we thought, gee, that was nice of them, but we just didn't have that.
I'll just, after not submitted to EFC, just leave it there. You don't need to say why it won't be submitted. Okay.
And then under the updates, the request for the completion date really goes out to March of 2024.
Okay.
We asked for the same date for both
Oh, for the, yes,
the permit. and
permits. Yes, that's right.
consent order. That would be the operational. But that would be the completion. And then in regard to this thing about the 04 financing, that really is referring back to the Van Buren. I know Troy may be getting bids now on Van Buren.
It's out the bid,
So what's the bid date on?
March 29th.
29th. Anyway, we have an estimated number in there, but we'll have a real number after you get your bids. So,
On March 30th.
but I think the other projects in the 04, including Coze's Little C and Manor Avenue, they're way out. So
Yes.
we won't have those. We'll those costs. So I
The only
think
thing we have is long-term control plan estimates, which are
Right,
probably
Yeah.
a little under.
there may be some preliminary engineers reports that are gonna be done,
right.
but that won't be for a while.
Yeah, we're just sending out the RFQ shortly. I sent it to EFC, so we get their blessing that it's the appropriate document. And they don't want me to add anything to it before we end up sending it all out to the engineering firms.
Yeah. So that, we won't really know, but we're putting a big contingency percentage on what we're putting in. So we're trying to get money, we're trying to get that because we need that money, in our case, for Van Buren Street. And
Are these changes to the minutes?
I won't add the context, but in regards to the 04 financing, I'll just make a note it's related
Yeah.
to Van Buren.
Okay.
And then Mike Miller's name is just typo.
Oh, yeah, didn't capitalize it.
And then in regard to Tim Murphy and Angelo Gaudio. I guess you might want to make a reference, and that was in regard to screens for the north plant.
Mhm.
And I don't know that that really is in regard to sharing LTCP costs, and so maybe you want to just strike that reference there. But it would have to be a new IMA. I think
Yeah.
that's what we're determining.
Mhm.
I guess you are making a reference to the.
Yeah, down below.
But you might want to start with that
Okay.
reference. So that's what I saw, we didn't have some corrections.
Sure.
Do we have any other, anything else that anybody thought? If not, do we want to have a motion to accept the minutes? Maggie,
I'll second, as amended.
okay, as amended, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Financial report.
Take it away, Tom.
Hey, okay. As you can see, we are about 21.5% complete on the budget for the year so far. And we have approximately $145,000 in the bank as of the end of last month. I just received another check from Rensselaer, so we're up to 200 and change. And we're gonna distribute money out. There's all Beaver Creek money for the most part. So we'll be distributing that out. I'll prepare that voucher today. Community balance is back again, balance out to that $145,000. And do you have any questions?
Anybody have questions on the do and do from? It's oftentimes where we get questions.
Okay.
Do from parentheses.
We have the vendors invoices.
Yeah, we got a whole large series of vendor invoices. Let me just scroll down to them. Okay, City of Cohoes submitted another app for Newcastle, it's Pay App 2 for Valete Street. That is adjusted because of a grant for that particular project. So Gary, if there's any question about that map, let me know. But ultimately, there's a significant reduction in that project cost because of the 90% coverage from that grant program. Albany submitted a series of applications from DeJesser, Jet, Castleman, Keller. That rounds it out for Big C projects. Big C will have grant applied to the back end, so we're not applying any more grants to that particular project. Well, the remaining $5 million has been allocated to that project as moving through. A lot of activity with approval of change orders from EFC on these particular portions of the project. So I believe everything is dispersible as it relates to the Keller and Castleman invoices as well as Jet and DeJesser. So any questions, comments about the invoices? They're all in Dropbox. We uploaded.
I think you got a typo on Castle.
Cassieman, yeah, I changed their name.
And the Jesser, the typos in the names.
Did Jezer any good? There are more products on the project.
The Jesser's a good company.
Okay, Jesser, okay. Well, spelling aside of the vendors' names, my apologies to those companies.
Okay. So, Can I have a motion to accept the invoices?
I'll make a motion.
Gary, and a second, Chris, all in favor? Aye, opposed?
Wonderful. Thank you.
So, then we have this sad note from CDRPC.
Yeah. So a couple points about the sad note. One, CDRPC annually reviews its fringe and overhead because of audited financials from prior years. So there's an automatic adjustment to our fringe and other indirect rates, which are noted down below. There are some adjustment to staff hourly rates and how they relate to the contract. But ultimately, this is all internal calculation and it doesn't affect our total contract value. If you'll notice, the contract has a not to exceed figure of 160,000. We're estimating by 2023 budget to be on for roughly 135, although we've never come particularly close to that, even that amount that we estimate, but we provide that to the corporation because that's something we pledge to communicate in our annual contract, is that when a rates adjust mid-year, we communicate that. You notice my title has changed. It was Director of Water Quality Programs. I'm the second person on that line. And so as I move part-time, departing CDRPC as a full-time employee, my title will change and I'll significantly reduce my hours to be available nights and weekends to be able to assist the pool communities corporations elements of the program to try to keep everything on track and maintain the wheels so they keep moving down the road. Mark is going to assume many of my responsibilities in relation to administering the board meetings. And we have an environmental planner here in the office who will spool up if needed for some other elements of my position. I'm seeing the most activity from my position is really trying to help to make sure the 00 and 01 financings are able to be put in place and that we're communicating with DEC. But we're really in the sunset era of the CSO long-term control plan. A lot of our report obligations have been met. Financings are in. Most of our projects, with the exception of 3 or 4, are done. So it's an opportune time for me to step away, but make sure that that things roll smoothly in the end phase. There's certainly a lot of work to be done, and I anticipate making sure that we're able to accomplish that. But it has been a real pleasure to join you folks around the table for the past 9 years and work on this program. So I want to thank you for the opportunity and bearing with me.
The past 9 years.
It's crazy, right? So
Well, Martin, a lot of the work that you do goes unseen. And it's tedious, but were it not for your efforts over the past 9 years, I think this program would have been a lot more difficult to accomplish. And the successes of the communities as a collective would not have been as great. So you kept things on track, you kept people from pulling all their hair out. And
We have to have some first.
mine's coming out though, I know.
That only applies to some of us, but yeah, I think you've done yeoman's work here, and your legacy of the work that was unseen will be paid to future generations in the clean house scenario. So thank you, Martin.
It's been a pleasure working with you guys, really. It was, not to reel too much about the interview process because I'm moving on, but I really honestly like working. It was a really tough decision to leave. Because I absolutely like everybody I work with, and I like how things keep moving. I can pick up the phone and call people, and you guys are a real pleasure to work with. Seriously, it's been really wonderful. So my email address will work, and my cell phone's on my signature, so I'm not totally departing, but yeah,
But he's also coming to work. For
I know.
I
know.
We got a couple.
You know
ways.
where to find him.
We got a couple ways to get.
I
to
think I'm gonna be in the basement
He's,
someplace.
And he's gonna be a guru. A guru.
I thought he was gonna be a czar, the infrastructure czar.
I don't know, the mayor said that his title isn't gonna be guru, but then the first thing that she said next was our infrastructure guru. So I think he's gonna be a guru. I don't know what the difference is between
Yeah.
czar and guru, but I guess it's but
Let's manage expectations.
congratulations, you
Thank you.
jumped out of the
Sure, there's a lot of
fire into
things
the
to learn.
fire, I think.
Thanks.
So he's gonna help get the pool built.
Yeah, from one Albany pool project in Lincoln Park to another Albany pool project. in Lincoln Park.
It's gonna be,
That's what I felt.
okay,
So just in terms of this transition, as Martin noted, our intent is to make it seamless. We're grateful that Martin and his new employers have agreed to let him continue on a part-time basis and, pick up the slack in terms of administering this meeting. Maybe to give you a level of comfort, I have 15 years of experience administering board meetings, so I know how to do it.
okay. So,
The board meetings will be continuing here
Mhm.
on a monthly basis.
Right.
No change, and I'll probably be doing all the back end of misspelling Kesselman's name and that sort of thing.
I think Martin actually had that outlook recurring until 2029.
Yeah. It's built in there, it's not going anywhere.
Okay, well, that's big news. So then EFC disbursements and reconciliation, I did want to point out, and maybe Martin has distributed. We have these financings, our first one is 0, that was really for the first several years, and then there's this 0, 1, or 0, 1. And we're, so in regard to that, we've had disbursements against our floatables projects, but we really haven't had disbursements against Troy projects or coast projects. So we reinstated having bi-weekly meetings now with EFC, so we can get to the point where these can be dispersible, but it really is, there's really a bunch of projects where that needs to happen. Then as what's happening with our 01 is we're getting another short-term amendment. But as soon as these become dispersible, then we can put in and get the money, and we can get it, we can pay Troy and Cohos for our part of those. So I guess that's it. There's 123rd, 124th, and who's like outside community metering. There's Columbia Phase 2. There's Polk Street. There's Fleet Street, which I guess has another name now besides Fleet Street, and we've got engineering stuff that all has to be cleared.
So one of the things I'm curious about, there's already been some disbursement on, like, for example, the floatables, which folks will see as SDCF 0102. Is there a reason EFC didn't give you a full disbursement on that project?
I think we got to a certain point and they wanted to be, they told us, hey, we want to get these things squared away like back in November and December, and they've been kind of holding off on disbursements, and we work out our cost summaries, and so we're anxious to be able to, I mean, some of these projects have been done for a while.
Yeah, I'm looking at CDRPC that dates back to 2014 at 480,000. That's fully cleared when I communicate with Paul. When we go through our cost summaries, it's like everything's cleared there. MWBE set, there's no engineering holds, obviously. So it's like that's ready to be dispersed on. So I think what's good to annotate this is I don't want to say this, whose court is the ball in? Because a lot of these are EFC's court. And I'm wondering how we can get them to move along.
Well, I think on some of the Troy projects, you're working with them to get some wage rate stuff squared away on Polk Street.
Polk Street, we're just doing a change order with Louise, because in bid, the wage rates were outdated by 2 days when the bid went out. So we're doing a non-cost change order so they accept the wage rates.
Because the wage rates are already higher anyway.
They still followed the state and federal
But-
rates on the project, but it wasn't in the bid. And 2 days before the bid, the wage rates changed. We couldn't do an addendum in time.
Yeah,
It just got felt with paper. So now we have to do a no-cost change order with that. But since the project is primarily closed out, we're doing a full change order with the project and a reduction of $168,000 on the project itself. So we say,
because it didn't. meet
Yeah. Typically in the
no, you
specifications
can't
too.
use that on big C.
Right out of his mouth.
We leaned in.
typically in the specifications too, it's common practice, typically it's in the boilerplate that the wage rates. The contractor is responsible for paying prevailing wage rates
Yeah.
themselves. Whether they're current in the specifications or whether they came out with a new addition. So, you know, it's a moot point.
Yeah,
I don't,
Well, I think then to the comparison of what rates you paid versus the federal rates often show we're paying the rate anyway, but.
It's paperwork. I'm just waiting for the final copy.
What about 123rd, 124th Street is for some reason that's not dispersible still?
That I don't even know. I think I submitted everything. I think we're waiting for them to get back to me on that one.
Yeah. And Hoosick Street, we had one contractor that was good and one that was big. Edges. But we had Carver's was.
Carver was fine. Reifenberg wasn't, because Reifenberg, when they paved Hoosick Street, that was an emergency deck by us to do it, even though Reifenberg met all the requirements of state DOT to pave it. They didn't have all the MWBE requirements for us to do it. But I had to get the pipe across Hoosick Street. Or there's a 10-year moratorium on digging up Hoosick Street, and I wouldn't have been able to do the rest of the project. It was one of those, just gotta get done.
Well, in regard to Troy's projects, you have an EFC financing, so we can both get disbursements if things got cleared. In regard to Cahose's projects, you don't have a
right,
EFC financing, but to get our 58% of the net cost, we need to get that. And Brenda Lee Byrne gets confused about things because we need to be telling her all the different financings that are involved, because there's your
Just to clear on all three of them.
Right.
your WQIP, and then Albany and Troy's regular EFC financings, and we need money to go to all of those.
we're putting on all the documents, Troy's financing number and Albany's financing number. Besides ours, but we just sent in for Bleed Street, as a matter of fact, all the stuff that she was asking for the third time.
yeah, and I went back in November and then.
All right, so, they're really very confused.
It is confusing, but.
Well, it's not really, what, this isn't rocket science.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Didn't want to ask-
Rocket scientists say when they sit around.
We haven't got a dime from our GIGP grant because of MWBE stuff. We're still funding this right out of city coffers. Well, we floated a bond because I could see the handwriting on the wall.
You need the
So-
cash, we'll get it back when we get it back.
Yeah, exactly. However, it seems like there's a lack of expertise on their side and they've got problems tracking stuff. I don't know why we're getting the same question over and over again. And I don't know why they don't realize long-term control plan. Guess what? It's the communities. You know, we've been at it 9 years
I
now,
know.
you know, oh my God. Why do you keep losing stuff? Why don't you understand this process?
Well, I'll send them a copy of the reporting here, Gary. I'll see the light.
Executive session.
Well, the other aspect is on Beaver Creek. We have recent disbursements of $1.8 million to Troy, 145,000 to Cahos, and 61,000 to Waterville that we need to get going from your disbursement back to us as quickly as possible, because otherwise we're in a cash flow.
Yeah, and we've invoiced those communities, so.
So
Where do you send those invoices?
Do you want me to repeat it?
To me, yeah.
I shall.
If they go to City
didn't-
Hall, I don't know if they get paid or not, where I get them, I can watch the process.
Okay, yeah, we have an open invoices list and we can resend that with the invoices themselves.
You didn't get the Cahos?
We got some from
Mhm.
those, I thought.
Yeah,
I don't
we
have
did.
it in front of me.
we got substantial amount from you guys.
Yeah,
That's why you have such a high due to.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
But that money, I think, has already been sent over to
Transferred.
Albany. What's left is, we've got some money that was recently received from
I
Rensselaer.
think that's Troy. Well, 70,000, sorry.
All of it was from Rensselaer. We got a small amount from Green Island. Last month.
It's at some point,
My comptroller was looking at, and once they spend money, they're looking to reduce the sewer fund. So our OO financing, we just paid down $3.5 million on it before going to closing.
Okay, I'll send you it's what, 1.2 million, I think,
Okay.
roughly. Okay, so I'll send that to you today.
And today's invoices.
Mhm.
And today's.
Well, that makes it 2 million.
Yeah.
Okay,
at some
and,
point,
and I'll get the same thing to Gary. I'll send you the same. Open
And then,
items, whatever they might be.
Send me over the
Okay.
proper documents to get reimbursed from EFC, but I'll get our payment process.
so at some point with the Beaver Creek project, we're gonna be on the final half of the IMG grant. The last 5 million. So we get through a few more months, and I think then we'll be getting towards that part when we can draw that remainder of the IMG grant. Although the EFC kind of decides when they want to give you that stuff, but I think if they reach the amount that we had indicated as our finance amount, then they would get to there, so that the last part gets easier because that wouldn't have to be shared, that last 5 million. So that's what we're doing with EFC, and we're gonna have bi-weekly meetings with them to try to follow up on any of these whole items. Project updates, I guess Beaver Creek is moving along. Actually, there's all these people from EFC are gonna stop by and look at the place tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
The president and the vice president.
Oh.
And council and Paul Johnson and Karen, and they got a new guy who's gonna work, Michael, who's coming on to help with Karen with paperwork.
We should have one of those thermometers, like percent complete, but you should have amount spent and amount EFC has.
Well, and yesterday, the chemical storage tanks arrived.
All right.
Wow.
So the roof can go on once they're in, right?
No, the odor control.
Odor control fiberglass tank still
It's not
waiting.
gonna be till May. I think the storage tanks for sodium hypo and sodium bisulfite have arrived. And so that, gonna have a tour. I don't know whether Rebecca told the EFC people to wear headlamps, but you know, this is all down underground now,
Yeah.
so there's temporary lighting down there, but every now and then somebody trips on a cord and and you're, so.
Let me know where that's.
A complimentary waiver.
You could lock them in until they.
Everything else down there, just-
I think the audio will cut out on there.
Yeah, we turn the lights off. Yeah,
Yeah, they're down.
when you,
You just remove the staircase.
So EFC is coming with a whole dozen people tomorrow.
Wow.
And.
God bless.
That'll stop construction for 4 hours. You put the request in for next extended 4 hours.
The lake lane Friday.
Okay.
So I guess the other two projects that are underway are Columbia Phase 2 and Lead Street in Cohoes. And they're,
Columbia Street, they haven't obviously started back up yet because it's restoration or whatever, and they won't, Carver won't be starting back up until after the asphalt plants come back online. Lead Street, Newcastle, their subcontractor, as far as I know, completed the Lead Street board, and we didn't lose the Lead Street, so that's a good thing. Now, Newcastle has been doing some drainage work, installing some of the stone walls around the intermittent stream. So they've been doing some halfway decent work. So if the board did go through, as I think it did on Bleed Street, the only remaining bore they got is on Johnson. So half the boring is probably done with, which is a very, very good thing.
It's not boring at all.
Mhm.
Terrible, sorry, that puns my thing.
Gary, they did, they,
Get them out at the last day.
Then we're gonna miss most
Yeah.
So that, I think Mike tried to say something.
Oh,
I was just gonna confirm, Gary, they did make it across Fleet Street yesterday. And they plan on starting the other bore as early as Tuesday.
awesome.
All right.
So we could be done with them by the end of next week if we can get those trailers moved.
Good to hear.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, St. Patty's Day, we might be celebrating not only the saint, but we got 2 bores done.
Exactly.
St. Patrick's Day miracle.
Yes.
Flush some snakes down there.
Want some red, green dye now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Van Buren Street is like about a $4 million estimated project
Yeah,
going.
yeah, I expect it to come in lower than that, but that's where it is now. It's out to bid. We Put it out to bid, week and a half ago, we had a meeting with EFC yesterday at 4 o'clock on the comments. So, yeah, now. if
And
they
it's
have any
substantial
significant
enough to
comments,
require
but
an
not
amendment or a
addendum.
change?
No,
Okay,
they had a couple questions, but nothing significant. I don't think they're gonna change anything. If they're even kind of like, yeah, it kind of is what it is right now. The biggest question was transferring from a oval shaped brick sewer pipe to a, round plastic pipe. Why isn't there a manhole structure? There just isn't room for a manhole structure. This is more of a glorified doghouse at this point.
Okay, so that's we'll know that at the end of the month.
Yep.
And then you've got one more project left in the long-term control plan across.
Cross Street Phase 2, we have in there. Part of that was supposed to be the relining of one of the upper portions. Between Franklin Terrace and Firehouse and Campbell Ave. We already did that. I had extra monies left over in another lining project, so we already completed that. So now we're trying to see what else needs to be done, or if that's just gonna disappear.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was that part of the lining that was done after the tributary sampling?
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be neat.
So I think that's next year. Van Buren Street's construction completed by the end of next year. We expect it, depending on the contractor, we expect it to be done this year.
Yeah, we have 2 regulators to be eliminated. It's our last 2 projects after Beaver Creek, and those are further on too, but if we get this financing set up, we'll probably just move ahead and get it done. And we have preliminary engineers report under contract in regard to that. And here he has his 2 projects, the Little C regulator and the Manor End project.
Yep.
Which are later in the program, but they have some substantial cost projects.
Yeah, they're not a couple $100,000, I think on the schedule. Little C is there around 2.5 million, and Manor Avenue sewer sep, I think, is estimated at 1.43. So it's a few bucks.
But then
Hopefully, we're going to get
Spot on,
Those are
1.43.
Those are like 2011 prices, so
Yeah, oh, they were 2007.
2007 prices, so.
Another 3.42.
Yeah.
And I think for some, I think Troy still does not have Manor Avenue within its financing, so you'd have to figure out what you're doing with Manor Avenue.
Okay, I'm not concerned. We adjusted the rates back in 2011 and I don't want to say I'm sitting on cash, but I have cash flow for whatever might come up.
So that was, I think just because EMC was saying it wasn't gonna fall within a short-term 5-year thing at the time that you closed on that financing. Any other business that we need to discuss?
Yeah, just one thing. So this is unusual, but we did get a request for a letter of support, which I thought I would bring forward. City of Rensselaer is applying for some grant funding for work on Forbes Avenue, and it's going to include some sewer separation work that they anticipate will have a reduction in CSO volume. So we got a letter from Katura Vix, who is the city planner, asking CDRPC for a support letter, but she said, hey, would the pool communities be interested in submitting a support letter for this project? We've never gotten one before. So it's something, I don't know if people want to write a support letter for, if it's appropriate to write a support letter for a non-LTCP project, but it will have an impact on CSO flow into the Hudson River, so.
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, DEC might like it because it's gonna reduce the flows in CSO. I mean, for the cost of a letter.
Any objections?
I thought it was the same letter.
What's that?
Well, she sent me a request for a CDRPC.
It's the same letter. It's a template. So she said, here's the template letter, you know, you take the first paragraph and last paragraph and put it in
I can
context.
tell you a little bit about.
Yeah, we got an expert.
Not a lot. I've been in Florida for a month when I came back. And Laura hit me up on this and I said,
All right.
yeah, sounds like a good idea. And she's trying to get support letters from everybody
Mm-hmm.
she can. Basically, this project will be a reconstruction of Forbes Avenue from Washington down to Tracy to the bottom of the hill. Which is near the Hilton project, which we have going, which BBL is doing to redo all that into commercial residential area. We have a couple other proposals in that same area for some apartment buildings. We also have the Livingston Avenue Bridge coming, which is going to allow us to they'll be connecting their pedestrian facility into our pedestrian facility. And because they have to do that, they're helping us out a lot with getting that accomplished. But Forbes Avenue is very narrow. It drops off significantly on the right-hand side if you're going down the hill. There's very little protection there. There's no pedestrian facility. And obviously, as you know, the city, you know, the north side, south of 90, but the north side of the city, it's pretty, where the school is, it's pretty heavy. Residential area, and this would allow for a pedestrian facility down Forbes so that people could walk from that area down to the waterfront, to our boat launch, to our park at the boat launch, to ultimately to the Hilton Center and to any other development that goes on. So it'll also allow us to, like the thing says, to do a pretty good size sewer separation, as well as allowing us to run a water line that will give us a nice loop that will provide water for any development in the future that's going to take place there. So that's why we're looking at it. So any help we can get, we appreciate it.
Okay,
Any objections? Not that we need a motion, but maybe we should just do that for a minute. Have a motion to submit a support letter.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Carrie.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Motion
It's
carries.
business today.
Okay, well, then, let's see everybody in April. Or we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right,
Okay.
stop recording.
Right down. Mike.
Have a nice day.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Start burning it, all that stuff posted and list out there. I'll send it.
So
Yeah.
Hmm.
Close the Zoom.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, the floating sand that they're worried about.